What's up, NASCAR fans? We are the Side Draft Podcast, and we're starting a new series called Why Fans Love Their Driver. For our first episode, we decided to go with Brad Keselowski, the 2012 champion, and we're here to give you what Brad fans have to say about Brad, why they're fans. But before we get into it, just wanted to say we unfortunately cannot talk about every single one of these on here, but I have a link in the description so you can read them all and see for yourself what all of these hardcore NASCAR fans have to say about Brad Keselowski. So the first person we have here is Justin. He says, I volunteer on pit road at all of the Charlotte races. Brad is the only driver who has acknowledged me every time, usually with a fist bump, and he goes out of his way to sign as much as he can during pre-race. He really cares about his fans and the sport as a whole. He's a great ambassador for NASCAR.
Yes, I agree with you, Justin. That's a great comment. I think Brad is a good ambassador for the sport. You know, the way he speaks out and the way he cares about the safety of the cars, and that's great that he'll acknowledge you like that. You know, for somebody that works at the track, and that's really great. And James here, he says, "Okay, fair warning. My answer is a long story, but I promise it's a good story. Brad Keselowski actually used to be one of my least favorite drivers, but now he's one of my most favorite ones. I've been a Joe Gibbs race fan for years, and we all know Brad has odds with Kenseth and Hamlin and, you know, definitely Kyle. So for a long time, I had zero reason to like him. Plus, I'm from Ohio, so the fact that he's from Michigan didn't help matters any. That began to change when I happened to meet him before the fall race in Martinsville in 2016. I was at the Ford stage that morning with my then 8-year-old daughter and my number one NASCAR buddy, Michael Clark Hill. Mike is a big Brad Keselowski fan, and he was hoping to get some diecast signed when Brad came to the Q&A. I offered to hold his diecast for him. I told him I cared nothing for Brad, as he knew, but Michael is my bro, and if I can help him get his stuff signed, I'm happy to do so. So Brad arrives, and when he makes his way down to my daughter and me, he pauses long enough to greet her. He was super, super nice to her, and I felt both blown away and humble. I couldn't hate on the man after that. The following spring, he won at Martinsville, and I, along with my 8 other fans, hung out to catch him coming off the track. He had his golf cart driver stop and took time to sign for each one of us before he left. He had his daughter in his lap, and I knew he was tired from a long day, so I was impressed he took the time for us. I've had the privilege to meet him about three times since then, and he is easily one of the friendliest, most engaging drivers I've met. And that is what won me over. As you can see, it's a story I love to tell. No other driver has gone from being so hated to so loved in my book.
That was a great story from going from a hated driver to a loved driver. So you can tell, like, the way these drivers act towards the fans can really change their minds.
Yeah, it really can. I mean, that's a great story there. It really is to get to know the drivers, you know, on a personal level. It's real awesome to see things going like that.
So Brian here says, I could write a book full of reasons why, but I'll try and keep it simple. Started in 2007 when he was getting a few shots in the Junior Motorsports 88 car. He was doing more with that car than the two before him even came close. Aggressive, intelligent. I couldn't help but like him. Been with him ever since. But I would have never dreamed that he and I would have the connection we have. From seeing me enough that he remembered me to eventually calling me by my name. The handshakes that became high fives, and most recently a hug. An appearance I attended where we actually had time to talk, and it felt like two old friends talking. And of course, the Martinsville win when he came into the stands and gave me the victory lane hat he was wearing. I often wonder if it'll be like Earnhardt, Stewart, and Gordon fans that left when they retired, whenever the day comes that Brad is ready to call it a career. If I don't, it's going to take a really special driver for me to cheer for. Great story there, Brian.
Yeah, that's really great.
It's cool that these NASCAR drivers can have these strong connections with the fans and really bonds them together.
Yeah, that's what makes NASCAR. I mean, really, the fans is what drives the sport. That's the fans is what buy their products, and the fans are, cheering on their driver and have that personal relationship with each other, and that's awesome. All right, Pat here says I was a Rusty Wallace fan of the number 2 car. Didn't see much of Kurt Busch as the number 2 driver. So when Brad took over, I gave him a chance to impress me to be a favorite driver, and he has. Brad is a great driver and a great enthusiast and a historian. Brad cares for America and our troops. When he started celebrating victories with the American flag, I was thrilled. He visits the campsites, live shows, and he's down to earth. He is and so appreciative of his fans. I'm glad I've met Brad and seen him win a couple races. You won't regret getting to know Brad through racing. And Paul and the rest of the number 2 crew are great professionals.
And Shelby here says, I like Brad on the track. He's calculating and strategic and has the talent to make a win. I like Brad off the track because he seems to be honest and very transparent and has the integrity to stand up for what he believes. I've never had the opportunity to meet him, but I know he has compassion and respect for our military. As a daughter of ancestors who have fought for our rights, and especially my dad, who was a Vietnam veteran, it means a lot to me that Brad Keselowski has chosen to use his platform and fame to honor our country. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. Even with Shelby and Pat, just talking about the military, and it's really good that he used the military. And I really like that too, when he gets a win and hit right around the American flag, and that shows a lot of respect and for our military and other ones, and that's really good for both of them.
Yeah, for fans who love patriotism, Brad Keselowski is the driver for you.
And Whitney here says, I became a Brad Keselowski fan because of his driving style and how he wasn't intimidating by the big boys. Hence his first Cup win in Talladega. I waited a long time to pick a new driver after Rusty Wallace retired. After that, I really loved how he gives 100% both on and off the track. I also admire his love for his family. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, he really does care for his family, and you see him all the time at the track, and he posts it on social media, and that's really good for them.
Yeah, and Kimberly says, I pulled for Dale Sr. in the day. In the year after his death, I didn't watch much NASCAR, but I loved the sport and remembered about this up-and-coming driver Dale had been watching. Brad Keselowski, always been a Chevy person. I would never think of pulling for someone in a Ford. He's smart, sharp, thinking when it comes to driving, speeds well in front of the camera, and is a big supporter of the military. I got to visit with Brad in Phoenix, told him he needs to drive to Chevrolet. He said he drives whatever Mr. Penske tells him to. Also, we both are from Michigan.
That's pretty funny there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mr. Penske. He signs the paycheck, so he's got to drive with him.
Yeah,
he makes him drive. So.
Also find it interesting. We've seen a lot of fans say that they pull for him just because he's from the same state they are. So
yeah,
a lot of Michigan pride.
Yeah, a lot of people from Michigan. We hear a lot from them. That's good.
And Kristen says he's so relaxed, never lets it go to his head. He's so appreciative and polite to his fans, always offering his time. He's always accountable to the sport, his family, and his supporters.
That's really good. And Renee here, she says, I was a fan of his dad, Bob Keselowski. When Brad started racing in NASCAR, he became my driver. He is down to earth, a great guy, and a great racer. So there's one from his family. So we get a lot of support from, when dads drive and brothers drive. So it all continues through the family.
Yeah. And Charlene says, my late husband and I followed Bob Keselowski. again, family. Watched Brad and Brian race too. Good racing family. Besides, we are all from Michigan.
Yeah, there's another one from Michigan.
Yeah.
Good to hear from them people.
Yeah.
And Josie here, she says, because off track, he is a wonderful family man. He always has time for his fans, and he shows the utmost respect for our servicemen and women. And because on the track, he is aggressive, determined, and fierce. And that's really true.
Really true. Brad Keselowski got the fierce aggressiveness we saw, the playoffs in 2014. So we might be seeing that pretty soon on the track.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Holly here. I apologize in advance for the length here. Quite a few years back, I went to a nationwide race with my brother. He'd been going to races for a while and always tried to get me to go. But I had that whole "how hard can it be to turn left" mentality. So we had to go to this race here at Texas. I don't know who anyone is at that point. My brother at that time was a Kyle Busch fan, so of course he wasn't a fan of Keselowski. So in an effort to make things more interesting, I decided to pull for the 22. Needless to say, after that race, I was hooked. I did some research on Keselowski and discovered how great he is on and off the track, and decided that I was riding with him until the wheels fall off. Fast forward to 2014, and we all remember that season, the highs and of course the lows. The 2 Crew was winning races, but there was also drama around every corner, it seemed like. My brother at that point had taken a liking to Larson, kind of switched gears over to that team, but he did tell me that if Keselowski were to win the championship, he would have nothing but respect for him. Fast forward a little more to November Texas race. Of course, all that crap went down, the 24. But then 2 days after that race, my brother was killed in a car accident. We were devastated, of course. I could not watch Phoenix or Homestead, and at that time, honestly, I wasn't sure if I'd ever be able to watch again. The holidays went by, and talk of the upcoming season began stirring. I sent Keselowski a tweet of a picture of him and my brother there, the hater, and told him that he had passed within a minute or two. I got a tweet back from him saying that he was sorry for my loss. I knew right then and there that I had to keep going and watching.
Wow, that's really deep here, Holly, and we're sorry for your loss, but it's really good for a driver to condone somebody that way, and wow, that's really deep here. So.
Powerful message there. It's all NASCAR is all about. It's like drivers act like they're your family, and when tough times happen, those drivers are there. And Brad Keselowski is one of those guys that deeply cares about his family and fans, all of them words there. But really good guy, Brad Keselowski, and we've got to learn a lot about him. Yeah,
that's really true. I got to learn a whole new respect just reading all these comments and stuff. At the beginning, when he come on scene, I wasn't really a big fan of his either. And then getting to know him through social media and his interviews, I got to like him more and more.
Yeah.
And now I just got, reading all these, I just got a whole new respect for him.
Yeah, we gained a lot of respect from reading all these comments, and how Brad Keselowski was able to change a lot of these people's lives. There's even more down in the Facebook group. So Brad Keselowski, if you like this type of driver, Brad Keselowski is your driver. So
yeah, we've met Joe Logano and we met Ryan Blaney, but we hadn't got to meet Brad Keselowski yet. I'd really like to talk to him myself, and just really you get face to face and talk to him, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So it'd be great to have him on here to react to some of these comments. That'd be really cool if we could somehow do that. But who knows if we'll get to do that or not. But yeah, that is why fans love Brad Keselowski. Stay tuned next week. We'll be talking about Kyle Larson. So if you're a Kyle Larson fan, go down in the comments below and tell us why you love Kyle Larson. What made you a Larson fan? So we'll see you next week. Hope you have a good week, and we'll see you then.
Starkville race in 2016. I was at the forward stage that morning with my then 8-year-old daughter, and my